Welcome to working with Madmapper and Modul8. What we're going to do in this example is I'm going to use a linear video file put together with a motion and drop that into Madmapper to show you how you can put that together. But better still, and lots of advantages to step up your game, is combine Modul8 and Madmapper together. So I just want to show you an easy way of doing that and why it actually works better. So enjoy this example and thanks for watching. Welcome to my desktop and working with primarily Madmapper and Modul8. As you can see, I've got Madmapper here, but I don't have Modul8. I do have media from Modul8, but we're going to build a file. If I just go back here, down the bottom of my desktop, I've got my motion, which I'm just going to create a linear file in just a minute. And I've also down here got Modul8, and I've got Madmapper. And these are the key things I'm just working with. Now, what's in this example here with my motion graphics? Now, this is really similar to using After Effects, and it's just Apple's version of, I suppose, After Effects. I really like this program. I find it really fast to work with, and for me, it's my preference for the way that I work. But regardless of what, use any motion graphics program you want to create something. The key thing is here is we're not really going to get into the motion graphics program, but just utilizing the media through Modul8. So I've got also a background scene here, and this is where you bring into Madmapper just to help you set up the quads. Now what I've also got is some pre-existing files. I've used this before, in fact in an earlier tutorial, but I just want to show you how you set up for your quads. So if I run this through, you can see that there's several different videos going in here. In fact, one even animated into the other one, which creates some really quite nice illusions, etc. But you just divide your background into scenes and you bring that into Madmapper and put it together. So how does that look? Well, if I just open up my Madmapper here, I do have sound on the file. But what I'm going to do is, if I just show you that's how the scene looked, and if I just scroll it forward, I'm not going to play through the scene, but you can see on the right hand side, in fact I just might bring these files just over a little bit. Should be able to just select it there, and what you do is you just size it to fit, and I'll just size it to fit as well. You can see that there's a background that's in there and all these things were mapped up. So I don't really want to go through the sound, but you can see how that's working, and these are just several quads which were put together in that format here. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to reinvent the wheel with my Madmapper. I just want to bring some quads in like so. Might not be exact fitting, but I just want to show you the format of doing this. So I'm just going to minimize my Madmapper just for the time being. We'll come back to that in a bit, and here's the background scene here as well. So perhaps it might even be easier if I just actually bring that back up, because that's what you see. You don't see the background, essentially, when you're putting all this together. So I'm just going to bring this back up. I think I'll just close it for now, just so we can easily get the files. I don't want to take up too much memory. And I'm going to come through to my motion graphics program here, just to show you what I'm going to do with the media. So if I click on that, here is motion. It's a lovely little program. You just select your files from your folder, in this case a folder on my desktop, and I've got very simple small video files. Now this is ideal to have them small for Modul8 because it can really grow in size with what you're going to be running through your system. And essentially, if I just scroll through my timeline here, you can see that these 4 videos, which actually I've just plonked them together and just layered them on different parts of the screen here, just to set up my format. Now you can output to whatever video format you want depending on your projector size, and that's the key thing, but essentially you might as well use to the maximum resolution of the projector, but nonetheless just set out the quads as you want them. When you've got this set up, I haven't put any sound on this file, but essentially what I want to do now is I can just go share, and I'm just going to come down here, export the movie, and I just want to H.264. I just want video only, there's no sound in it anyway, And just in the render, I'm just going to go through and just render this off. So just pre-multiply alpha, that's fine. And I'm just going to save that into the same folder. It's called a projection test, and I'm just going to create that video. So it should run through pretty quickly because I've got a reasonable amount of RAM here, and it's only a relatively small video file. So here it is. So now if I play that, you can see it's basically the 4 movies added together, and I've just played around on the timeline just to get them fitting okay. So I'll just run. We're going to be still looping it. So it's just an 8-second video. Okay, right, I'm going to close that now, and I no longer need this program. So I can just go, obviously, motion, and I'm just going to quit it. Of course, I'm working on the Mac environment, so I will just save that. And here's our video file. So now I'm just going to open up my MAD again. So sorry if it's going to start off with a bit of sound, but I'll just turn that off as quick as possible. Okay, so here's the file here, and what we've got is just that video file. I'm just going to go and I'm going to import that media. And I probably should have gone through and got that sorted. So I think it was called MAD something here, or MAD training. And the media I want is just this latest video, and I'm just going to go open. And here it is, projection test, and I can just click on it. So here it is, and we've got all the media here, and all you need to do with any of these quads, they're locked off at the moment. I'll just unlock them. So they're unlocked. You just drag over the top there, unlocked. I've even got masking in this file as well. But just essentially, I think I will lock some of them up here, just so that I don't get too many selected. And just on surface 1 there, which is just out the side, I'll just click on that. Okay, so there's quite a bit in this file. You can just go and move it anywhere you want, etc., to fill out the gap. What I've also got, there's a graphic that's in there. If I just turn all of that off, come back in here again. Should be able to turn them off here. Oh, I might have to unlock it first, and then I can just turn these off as well, and we see our background graphic. Okay, so to bring that in is simply just click on your projector. Now I don't have any projector set up at the moment. I've just got a standard main projector, but you come down here and you simply just click on your background to link it up. Okay, and then that just brings it into the scene on the background scene, and then just come back to your quads and you can start building it. So what I'm going to do is just turn everything back on again. Or I better do it the other way. So just turn them all on. So all back on, and I'm just going to basically lock them off. Now essentially I'm not really going to worry about with the exact setup in Madmapper. I just really wanted to show you that's how you bring them in. And of course at any stage you could have a few videos. If they're small, absolutely no problems, or not too big that is, depending on the RAM that you've got and the size of the machine. You can have several videos here, particularly if you're doing a stage show and you want to swap to events. This works fine, and it's just purely using linear video together with Madmapper. But what when you want to go to something a little bit more beyond that? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and I'm going to save this project, or open it again in just a minute, and I'm just going to quit Madmapper just for the time being. So quit Madmapper here. Now, of course, I haven't built anything. I'm doing all of this on the fly, and it's all at real time. So we really want to see just the advantages of how you put this together, and I just want to show you how easy it is and how fast it is to initially get something well designed. Well, not necessarily well designed, but how easy it is to initially get it going. Great programs. So I'm going to come down to Modulate, just down the bottom here, and I'm just going to launch Modulate. Now, this might not be the latest version of Madmapper or Modul8 you've got, but of course it's only getting better. So you've got later versions. There might be a few things that change, but of course it's only getting better. So here's my video file, and what I want to do here for a start is this is where I bring my content into it. So you can have numerous files, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. It just builds up, and then over here you can even start bringing in things like your video input. So you're having live video feeds. So you can just imagine this goes well beyond what you can do with just linear files and Madmapper, especially when you want to get a little bit interactive, which we will with this project as well. So I'm just going to come back again to my first set here. But for a start, I want to set up for the projector that I'm working with. Okay, so what do we do here? So just going to go to the Modul8, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to go to Preferences. And on the Preferences, I'm just going to leave basically everything standard here. We can click through and see different things, etc. Just going to leave it all purely standard, but the one that I do want, depending on the projector that I'm working with, is I usually work with a 16 by 10, but get great high definition ones. It might be a different format. You can even go custom if you want, okay? But that's what I want. Now sometimes you have to, once you set a preference up, you might need to come back and just sort of shut it off and boot it up again so it accepts it. But if it doesn't do that, well, that's pretty easy to do. But I'm just going to go okay. And within this file here, I also want to change my settings a little bit. So just in the output here, I'm going to come down to Advanced Output Setup, and I'm going to click on that. And what I want down the bottom here, now here's a projector that's 1440 by 900. Now yours probably won't be that because I've just been using that and it's set up. I just might make mine because the video file was a bit smaller. I think 1280 by 800 is fine, just by 1610. Might have been slightly different video size, but not to worry. Now I've got my output main here, and I've just got clip 1. Now what you can do is add clips 1, 2, 3, 4, and a whole lot of different video sizes, and you go and click the advanced output enabled here, so you can feed to all different projectors. Okay, but that's just getting a little bit more complicated than we want to get today. I just want to make it really easy going through one projector so we can do what we did with that linear file. Okay, so haven't clicked this 16 by 10 format, and I've given it a size just down the bottom here. Okay, and it's just clip 1 and the output. So that's great. So I can now just save that. By the way, you do see this screen size in the middle, and that's sort of showing you the center and the output that I want there. Okay, so I'm just going to close this, and I'm going to come back in here, and this actually should be a little bit bigger than that, but it's actually the output size I want. Right, speaking of output size, well, let's get some videos in here, and you'll see that I've got grid, layers, and a whole range of things down here as well, but we're just going to work with grid and layers. We'll come back to that in just a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize that down here and bring my media set up, and just come back to this one once more. I'm just going to open my media, and just within that I'm going to start just dragging the things that I want here. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before at the start, we can start filling out a lot more media than you're ever going to get in a linear file, but I just want to really show you the principle of this. So you can jump to layers and sets, and you really can go to town. I've just brought 4 in, and it's only in the first media set. Okay, so let's just get back to this, and what I'm going to do is, just with my Modul8 now, just make sure that's selected, I'm going to start setting that up. So we've got a layer here by default, and with this layer I'm simply going to select my first image to go in here, and here it is. There it is on the scene here. Just drag that a little bit bigger, and here's my graphic. Okay, if I just move that over here, of course you can move this around to any way you like, and within the layer graphic you can see where it is. Now I can move this anywhere I want, not just doing it now to set up, but during the process and live. Once you get more used to the program, you really can go to town with it. The other thing is, during the application and the playing of it, I can click to any of the other ones as well. Now that's something you can't do with linear files just to begin with, so straight away you're starting to see some of the examples of this. Well, what I'm going to do for a start is, just with that file and that layer, I'm going to just come down here, and just the scale, I'm just going to scale it down a little bit, and I'm just going to move it, or not with the top one, just over here. So I can go to my grid just to move it around, but the layer is probably a little bit easier just getting it set up initially. Now, as I said, I'm not going to be perfect with this. I just really want to show you the principle of how to put this together. So let's go and do a new layer. To do a new layer, this will be beneath it. I'm going to now click on just the plus to add a new layer, and maybe I should make this a little bit more obvious here. So I'm just going to move these over. In fact, I might even just bring that over just a bit, just for the time being. Okay, and I think we'll set this up first. And what I'm going to do is, so we used that first one, didn't we? So I'll click back on the second one now. Okay, if I go to the grid, we've got the second graphic here. If I just make sure I go back onto the front one here, and I'll just click that. Okay, I might have not done that correctly, but anyway, now we've got that in here so you can see it. Of course, clicking on the second layer, I'm just going to move this around where I want it. That'll be great. Let's just go and do the other two. Let's see what we've got here. We'll add in another layer, and I'm going to click on my graphic that's just in there. Of course, what we might want to do with this graphic, making sure that's selected, we can come down here and just look at basically with the scale. You can play with any of the effects here. Just a minute. X, okay, to turn it not just to a sort of rotation, but also just to set up nicely for X and Y, and really change it around. Of course, you cannot do this sort of stuff too well at all with linear files. Well, of course you could, but then you're basically stuck with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, I'm not going to worry about being too perfect. I'm just going to come and bring that file just down a little bit lower. Okay, let's see, there was one more, wasn't there? Okay, I'm going to just add in my other layer, and just from my graphic here, just select that last object. It's a little bit large for what I want, so again, what I might do is just scale it down here and just bring it down to the bottom. Okay, so that's fine. Now we've also got things like we can add any number of effects and live effects to this as well, that plays with sound and all sorts of things. In fact, maybe I might just do this just to add a little bit of a benefit on top of what we're doing already. By for a start, I'm just going to save this. So save project, and I'll just call this test just for today. And if I come down just to my folder, I'll make sure I'm on my desktop where I was, and just in Mad Training, and I'm just going to save that test in here. Okay, again, make sure, like any program, you do save on a regular basis. But what I'm going to do is just to add in a couple of extra effects in here. In fact, I might not do it with the graphics itself, but just add an extra layer in the bottom. In fact, maybe I'll do it and even fade through as a second layer down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, you can play with fade and scale and things to go to other effects, but of course nothing in here at the moment. So with that down the bottom here, I might just, oops, I didn't want to do that, I just want to do it down the bottom. So just click down here and add it in. And what I'm going to do for a little bit of extra fun is I'm going to come through, and on my module tools, I'm going to come down, and I think I'm going to paint. And what you can do is just make sure you can go to dots, pen or whatever, just click on your colors. I'm just going to make something really simple here. I might change the size a little bit. Maybe that's a little bit too big. It's a bit small, but nonetheless, change it around there. Here's a big one. Change the colors, and I've just got that as an effect in here which sits on that layer as well. Okay, so you can always reset it, and you can just play with these options. I mean, like any part of this program, there's a lot of things that are in here. Okay, so what we can do is just going to move that down to the bottom just for the time being, and just down here, if I fade to that, you can see those graphics in there. Okay, so what I want to do with these graphics, and of course it could be any element, videos included, you can scale, rotate, blur it, noise, luma to give it the transparency. There's a whole ton of things that you can do all live too if you want to. But what I'm going to come down here and do with this one is I'm going to click on auto move. What I want to do is I want to affect the sound levels. So I'm just going to turn that on here, okay, down the bottom. And with the transform, I'm going to go into particle effect here. And it should, as I'm putting this together, well, actually I'm not getting any movement yet. If we want to work with sound, I'm going to come down to sound levels. And basically that should start being affected by the sound if I actually give it some size and something to affect it. And I might even give it some speed. As you can see there, sound, just by hitting my computer, is affecting it even the way that I'm talking. So maybe I'll even add some strobe in there. Okay, so I've got a range of effects here. I'm just going to save this now. So let's save projects. And to really get all of this working, all I need to do is go from my output here. By the way, see if I can change between the two. I'm just going to click scaling as well. And you can see that it scales in or out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my Madmapper and bring it in. Now, just to note, just because of the size of my screen and just this recording and the speed of getting everything done, what you do is once you get your Madmapper set in, you're going through your projector, you just bring this program to the front. In other words, you select it and then just play it, and it's all just running through Madmapper in the background, and you're just working this program in a live view with everything being projected. So it's a little bit messy with all the things I've got on screen here, but essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure this is saved, save project, and I'm now going to go to my output, which is just Siphon. Okay, and this sort of disappears now because it's actually going through the Siphon. Okay, so that means when you've got Siphon on, you can actually bring it into Madmapper. So let's go and have a look at this Mad test. I'm going to open this up now. Go into the import here. And you can see Siphon main view. I'm going to go and click on that. So a lot of these things are transparent, and there's even a little bit of movement because of the transparency that I've got in here. But if I just bring this over a little bit, and just zoom in here, you can see that the whole file is now coming in, and it's working with the background. As I mentioned, what you do is you just leave this in the background, go back to your Modul8 and start playing with it and moving it live, and all these elements move around. And even the sound, if I hit my computer and I'm speaking now, it is affecting where I did the sound on that bottom graphic. Now, this is one thing you can't do with linear video files. So there you go. I hope you really enjoyed the integration and the benefits of working with Modul8 and Madmapper together. Thanks for watching.